Oh, you filthy swines! Get in here, sit down, and pay attention. I'm going to read some news. You might actually learn a few things. You might not. Such is the way of life. I like the weird ones. Perhaps not particularly factual. This is to do with the decommissioned Chernobyl radioactive plant. Mystery, as blue dogs are spotted roaming site of Chernobyl nuclear disaster. Written by Stacey Liberator on the Daily Mail. The caretakers of the dogs that have made home at the site of Chernobyl have spotted some canines with blue fur, a first at the disaster zone. The group called Dogs of Chernobyl shared a video showing several packs of dogs with at least one completely blue. They were not blue last week. We do not know the reason, and we are attempting to catch them so we can find out what is happening. The team shared in the video caption, "Most likely, they're getting into some sort of chemical." Yes, like hair dye, maybe. I don't know, perhaps. The organization, an affiliate of the non-profit Clean Futures Fund, added that while the color was alarming to see, the dogs appeared to be very active and healthy. Since 2017, Dogs of Chernobyl has been caring for roughly 700 dogs that live within the 18-mile square exclusion zone. The organization provides them with food and medical attention each year. These dogs are the descendants of pets left behind when residents were evacuated following the 1986 Chernobyl nuclear disaster, one of the most catastrophic nuclear accidents in history. I remember that when I was a piglet. All the news about the radioactive cloud spreading across Europe, which is why it's so concerning that there's a war going on in Ukraine, where this reactor is biding its time. There's the chap there. He's all blue and stuff. I wonder why. While the team does not know what caused the blue coloring, social media users have made several suggestions in the comments sections of the videos posted to Instagram and TikTok. Those blue-tinged fur is a result of external contamination from chemicals which can be washed off, one TikToker shared. Another posited in the comments section, surprised these dogs are still fertile enough to breed, having been in contact with a contaminated area for so long. Well, you know, radioactivity isn't necessarily all bad. Some creatures live off of it, I think. While these dogs appear to be safe, scientists have been studying the animals living around the site since the disaster began on April 26, 1986, with the explosion of one of the power plant's reactors and led to the largest radioactive release of material into the environment in human history. Following the tragic event, humans were evacuated. Humans? Humans. It's a very awkward word to throw in there. Humans? Are you not a human, Stacey? Do you have to qualify that they were in fact humans who were evacuated, not lizard people? Or goblins. Soviets! Yes, we must remember that Soviets were indeed also human. They were evacuated from Chernobyl. Actually, they're Ukrainian. Sorry, Ukrainians. And the surrounding areas to avoid the extreme levels of radiation. From then on, the site was known as the Chernobyl Exclusion Zone. Kez. That's a bit of a trashy name. Hello, Kez. Their absence allowed wildlife to flourish and thrive in the Kez, which contains 11.28 millirem of radiation, 6 times the allowed exposure for human workers. Humans! For the human workers. Stacey, are you a lizard person? A study in 2024 found that the dogs had mutated to develop a new superpower. No way. They are immune to radiation, heavy metal. They like a bit of heavy metal and pollution. Scientists collected blood samples from 116 stray dogs living in the Chernobyl exclusion zone. Kez, we already established that, finding 2 different populations that were both genetically distinct from other dogs in the surrounding area. This suggests that they have adapted to withstand long-term exposure to this toxic environment and would explain why they have continued to thrive in the wasteland. Norman J. Kleinman, an environmental scientist at Columbia University, led a team of researchers to investigate how living in this harsh environment impacted the dog's genetics, as disasters that contaminate or destroy habitat can force wildlife to adapt to adverse environmental changes. Enjoy that. He and his colleagues collected blood samples from 116 semi-feral dogs. How are they semi-feral? Which were humanely captured around the Chernobyl nuclear power plant and 10 miles away in Chernobyl city. These samples were taken during sterilization and vaccination procedures conducted by the Clean Futures Fund Dogs of Chernobyl program in 2018 and 2019. Or they seem to be doing all right, actually. One of the things that I hear quite often repeated about what would happen after a nuclear war or something, I've heard before that all pets would perish, but I don't think all pets would perish. I think there are many that would just become more, well, they would rewild, wouldn't they? Cats are very good at catching their own food, and some dogs are pretty wily. They're not exactly stupid, and these guys seem to be doing all right. Got a video here. How long are you? A minute long. Adorable moment, pack of stray dogs in Chernobyl fed treats. Oh, which one would you have? I like the border collie down there, or the one on the right. Actually, if you look at them, they're all... there's no dachshunds there. There's no chihuahuas. There's no kind of retarded-looking dogs. They're kind of pack animal-type dogs, so it's understandable that they perhaps would survive whilst the others didn't. Brace yourselves, we're going to watch this blimmin' video about doggies in Chernobyl, and you might as well like it.
I think the white one is the former alpha dog, and one of those two must be the one of the actual alphas.
There you go, there were some dogs being fed. Very important to watch that. You must study those dogs. The blood samples were then transported to the US for DNA extraction and analysis, which revealed the dog's unique genetic makeup. Somehow, 2 small populations of dogs managed to survive in that highly toxic environment, Kleiman said in a statement. In addition to classifying the population dynamics within these dogs, we took the first steps towards understanding how chronic exposure to multiple environmental hazards may have impacted these populations. He and his colleagues published their findings in the journal Canine Medicine and Genetics in March 2023. Specifically, the researchers found nearly 400 outlier loci on the genomic locations that show behavior or patterns of variation that are extremely divergent from the rest of the genome. Then they identified 52 genes associated with these outlier loci that could be associated with exposure to the contamination of the environment at the nuclear power plant, the study says. In other words, the dog's contaminated environment caused them to develop genetic mutations that were passed down from generation to generation, ultimately driving their adaptation to harsh conditions. AKA, they had accelerated mutations, accelerated evolution. That's a very, very cute doggy there. Look at that one there. Ah, you'd survive there, would you? Yes? Dogs that glow in the dark, says H.D. Robb from Southampton in the United Kingdom, says, dogs that glow in the dark will soon be a must for the self-hampered Look at Me brigade. I get what you're saying there. Colloidal silver does that. What's colloidal silver? What is that? Colloidal silver. What do you need to know? What do I need to know about colloidal silver? Do I need to know it? Is it something that perhaps had been given to them to protect them by somebody? Colloidal silver consists of tiny silver particles in a liquid. It is sometimes promoted on the internet as a dietary supplement. However, hold your horses, evidence supporting health-related claims is lacking. I know silver is used as an antibacterial sometimes. Weird. But there's a funny little article. I like doggies, and blue ones, why not? Blue super, not superhuman, super doggies are the future. You can tell that kind of dog would survive in a nuclear holocaust. They probably found a cache of... What kind of blue food is there? What blue food could we have? Let's see. Let's go back here. Blue food. Only a blue diet. I only ate blue foods for 72 hours. Blue food lover. Perhaps they found a cache of these people's foods. Oh, no, yes, there's Takis, isn't there? Blue. He's obviously got blueberries. Blue waffles. That's a very different thing, a blue waffle. That refers to something else entirely. Don't search that on the internet. In fact, I won't search that now. We won't be going down that route. But that is it for now. If you like the show, like the show. If you don't like the show, well, I don't know why you're here, but please do come back. But that is it for now. Pigwig, out.
Oink, oinkity, snort, schnuffle, schnuffle, squee, oink, oink, wee, squeal, snort, snort, oinkity, squee. Oink, 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 squee, squee, wee, 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 snuffle, snort, squeal, squeal, oinkity, oink, snort, snort, squee, oink, 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 wee, 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 oh. Snort, oink, oink, got it. Squeeze, squeeze, wee, wee, wee. Shuffle, snort, squeal, squeal. Oinky, oink, start, start, squeak. Oink, 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 wee, 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 wee. Oh. Oink, oinkity, snort, snuffle, snuffle, squeak. Oinkity, oink, oink. Snuffle, re-squeeze, snort, oink, squeal. Oink, 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 got it. Squeeze, squeeze, wee, wee, wee. Shuffle, snort, squeal, squeal. Oinkity, oink, start, start, squeak. Oink, 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 wee, 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 wee. Oh. Squeal, squeal. Snort, shuffle, oink, re-squeal, re-snort, oinky, oinkity, oink, 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 snuffle, re-squeeze, snort, oink, squeal, oink, oink, oinkity, squeeze, squeeze, re-re-re, snuffle, snort, squeal, squeal, oinky, oink, start, start, squeak, oink, 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 re-re-re, re, oh, squeal, squeal, snort, snuffle, oink,